All right. Welcome back to the Money Revelation podcast. And today is a super special podcast episode in my mind. Not only do you have one financial coach on today, but you have a second one. My friend, good coach, amazing person, Annie J. How are you today?
I am great. Yeah, what's better than one financial coach? Two financial coaches in the same Zoom room.
I know, right? So we're recording this in Zoom, so we're gonna pull the audio and we might send out some clips, so keep an eye out for that. But yeah, Annie, tell us a little bit before we get into a fun conversation that we both determined was like appropriate for this episode. Like tell us a little bit about you, maybe a little bit about, you know, your coaching experience so far and like, what you're all about basically.
Yeah, I love it. In a nutshell, no money growing up. Finances were really stressful. And then I had this eye-opening revolution where I'm like, what if there was a better way to live? So that was kind of when my personal finance journey started. And it's been interesting because my coaching philosophy has shifted quite a bit over the last like seven years here. And now I very much have an approach of personal finance is personal, and what works for Brian may not work for Annie. What works for this listener may not work for that listener. So really taking the approach of like, let's experiment with it and figure out what works for you. I think that's like hands down the healthiest approach to personal finance.
It's a common theme that listeners that are going to hear and stuff like that, and that I talk about a lot in my coaching as well. Is it's like it's individualistic, really. I really love that word, and I think that more and more coaches are focusing more on the realization that everybody's situation is different, and you have to focus on them individually. So
Yeah.
all right, cool. So today we decided, thank you, Annie, for coming up with this. I'm not going to take any credit on this one, but that's all right. It's one of my favorite topics and
Oh.
it's appropriate for the season. We decided to talk about 5 steps to thrive with money through the holidays. Been a very stressful year in my mind for a lot of people. And the holidays don't usually help with a lot of calming down the stress. So just dive right in. Get clear on values is number one. What do you want to say about that, Annie?
Yeah, well, to kind of set the tone a little bit for
Yeah.
this, it's kind of hilarious that I talk about this, I feel like more than I probably should. I find it hilarious because I actually grew up not celebrating Christmas, and it's still not something that my family like does today. So, little disclaimer, I'm kind of coming at this through the lens of like, hey, I've never had a stressful holiday experience, and I can tell you right now, it is extremely freeing, and it's possible to go through the holiday season without buying gifts. People give me Christmas presents, friends, previous coworkers, all those things. But people don't expect it from me. So I'm living proof that it's possible to enjoy the holidays and not have that stress. So let's get into it. Yeah, step number one, get clear on your values. The question that I would encourage people to ask is like, what are your favorite holiday memories? Brian, what are your favorite holiday memories?
I would just say probably let's talk about Christmas. Like we always went to my parents, and to this day we still go to my dad's on Christmas Eve. I mean, it's just celebrate. When I was a kid, we would open, the one gift. We would have people, our immediate family over, and we, as kids, we would take one gift, Christmas Eve, and then wake up Christmas morning with my parents and just open it up, and then usually see the rest of my family during the day. And it's kind of the same thing that we've started the tradition here is with now that we have kids and I'm married and stuff is we do Christmas Eve at my dad's. We wake up with the kids Christmas Day. They open the presents. We sit there and drink coffee while we're just you know shaking
Aw,
our head like, oh, this is great. And then we see the rest of the family throughout the day, but do pretty much laziness the rest of the day. So yeah. What about
I
you?
love
I
that.
mean, since you don't celebrate, but I mean, how do you celebrate Christmas if you don't really celebrate Christmas? How about that one?
Yeah, well, it's so boring, not even worth talking about, I'll tell you that. But when I ask most people this question, like, hey, like, tell me your favorite memories from last year, or tell me your favorite memories from a kid. Usually when they were like kids, they might remember like a gift they had, they don't have it
Mhm.
anymore. Like it was great for that year and grand scheme of things, didn't matter all that much. But what I often hear are like the experiences, the getting to sleep in, watching that movie, like that family tradition, cooking that one meal together, the gingerbread house decorating. Like I typically hear those types of things, and I feel like it's often overlooked. Like let's take a moment and realize like what makes you happy through the holiday season. Usually it has nothing to do with stuff.
Right.
So,
It's not always materialistic stuff. And that kind of, we skip down a little bit, but enjoy the holidays. I think we'll skip to that one because it's just like, and we'll come back around, I think. But that's a great point. Like, through all the thick and thin, I mean, you should be happy with family and health and, everything else and actually enjoy the holidays. Sit down and, if you decorate a tree or whatever for Christmas, sit there in front of the fire and watch the tree, and like I think that we sometimes overlook it because we just kind of rush through it and say, okay, what are we doing for Christmas Eve? And what are we doing for Christmas? Okay, here comes New Year's, like da 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 da, and before you know it, it's all done. It's kind of like, I
right?
mean, you're recently married. It's kind of like your wedding day. It goes like that.
Right.
Like you
You
prep for
pour
it,
your
prep
heart
and
and
prep and
soul
prep,
into
and prep,
it.
and then you say, "Oh crap, it's already midnight. It's time to go to bed," or after our party and all that. And it's like, "Wow, we're married." And then you wake up the next day and you're like, "Wow, nothing's really changed." But like
That is interesting.
you didn't
Yeah.
really enjoy it as much as you want because you were so stressed out half of the time. And you know, so yeah, definitely just enjoy the holidays. I think that's a good point. Um, to kind of
Yeah.
remember for everybody.
And the statistics, like the data is there. A lot of people, it's like over 60% of people dread the holidays because of financial stress. Like, and I was just talking to a client yesterday who went like way over budget on getting people Christmas gifts
Yeah.
because she felt like it was expected of her. So just realizing like the connection between the financial stress and the holiday stress, like very, very tight.
So you
Okay,
would
so
say,
step
go ahead, go ahead. No, that's fine. Go ahead. Go.
I was gonna go to step number two. So step one, get clear on your values.
Yeah.
Step two is to create your holiday money plan. So for some people, this is a budget. Some people don't like the word budget, so maybe spending
Hmm.
plan. I call it like a holiday money plan. Like we're gonna map out and put some like healthy boundaries that you're actually excited about. We're gonna put some boundaries around your spending all things related to the holidays. For some people, they haven't been planning on it. So maybe they have a little bit of savings. They decided they're going to pull on it. For some people, they've already decided it's going to go on a credit card. And my coaching philosophy, personal finance is personal. If that's their decision and they want to map out a plan to prevent that future years, like, yeah, let's do it. So I have a lady who she was like $1,000 limit. It's going on a credit card. We're going to have it paid off by like March. That's what she's doing. So whatever it is, have a plan for it. What are your tips with that? How do you handle like creating a holiday budget?
So what I recommend, and this kind of, this will be more for one of the questions or one of the topics we're gonna come out to in a minute, is years ago we decided, especially when we had our second child, that we needed to be prepping way before December 1st for
Yeah.
gifts and for anything else that, we had to do. So we started saving more Christmas envelope almost like that. We went to the envelope system for Christmas and we always try to start in July or August depending on what's going on. And even if it's $50 here, $50 there, $100 every once in a while, all of a sudden you come to 3 weeks before December and you might have 300 extra bucks that basically or is only dedicated towards gifts and stuff like that. And a $300 is a lot of money,
Yeah.
or 400, or if you got a ton of money, 500, 600, 700. I have one client right now that's telling me, um, you know, we were working through his budget a couple weeks ago with him and his wife, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we already got $1,000 set aside for Christmas. Like that's how much we're gonna spend." And I was like, "Dang!" And these people make the money. They got the space to do it, and I'm like, "Cool." And that just took a couple months for them to have it organized. So,
That's great.
yeah, just get out in front of it. Like you don't believe how quick like December will come, and then all of a sudden, poof, here you are. And like you said, maybe your client it'll work, hopefully, for the credit card thing, but most people are just gonna are unfortunately panicking and just like, oh my God, like we just have to kind of get through the holidays and then we'll figure it out January 1st. So have a plan.
Yeah. Yeah, it can look like a lot of different things. Yeah. Okay, so we've gotten clear on our values. We've created our plan, figured out where's the money coming from our budget. Are we going to pull money out of savings? Step number 3, what is it, Brian?
Set expectations. We could talk an hour for this. I just talked about this a
Yeah.
few days ago, I think on one of my lives or something like that. And I talked about this. We were just talking, me and Annie, before. My wife and I just talked about this the other night. Like, you have to set expectations with friends and family and, everyone else. Like, I love the passion that a lot of people have. They're like, oh, I got to get, my aunt this and this and this and white elephant for work and all this other stuff. But, at some point, depending on what your financial situation is, a lot of us, out there are paycheck to paycheck. You can read any stat online, right? I mean, we could sit there and say,
Yeah.
and people are struggling. Credit card debt is at an all-time high. I mean, it's no joke that everybody knows that there's a lot of people struggling. So pushing through Christmas, it might be okay to say to one or two people, listen, like, you know, it's a tough thing to say, but hey, I don't, have the finances, or you don't even have to say that. Just set expectations. That's like, normally I would get you something small, but um, this year, we went through a lot of stuff. So I apologize or something like that, because most people will understand like your situation. And if they don't, get new friends. I mean, that's my, I mean, I'm
Amen
not
to
trying to be
that.
mean.
No,
Like,
Brian,
right.
that's
Right? I
that's the
mean, if
best. I
if
love
they
that.
don't, I mean, come on. I mean, what would you set
Yeah.
expectation? What would you just say to that point,
All
Andy?
right. Here are my thoughts. I think the most important part is to, yeah, be clear with the people that you're worried about. So for a lot of people, they're worried about like family or their really close friends being disappointed that they're not going to get a Christmas gift this year. So your wording doesn't have to, like, it can reflect anything you want it to reflect, I think. So for some people, I might say like, hey, what do you think about us doing like gingerbread decorating instead of like a gift exchange this year? Or like toss
Mhm.
some other ideas out there that is something that lines up with your values. Maybe it's like an experience or it's more budget friendly. And I don't think you necessarily have to tell them that like you're struggling financially, because like I personally,
Right.
I have money in savings, and hell no am I going to spend it on Christmas gifts on someone. Like I'm using
Right.
that money to go to Oahu. So I've told people like, hey, like thanks for understanding. Like I'm using my savings on a trip this year, not Christmas gifts. Or there's so many phrases. Maybe we can put some in the notes of the podcast
Yeah.
here.
We could,
Um,
yeah. But I think that you made a good point just a second ago. It's like experiences, right? So telling that friend, maybe, and in our case, we have kids, but telling friends, hey, why don't you guys, we just want to host you guys for dinner one night. We haven't seen you in a while or something like that. I mean, we're all so busy in life, right? That we all of a sudden we have kids, we get married, and next thing you know, it's very difficult to see people and coordinate
yeah,
with each other's schedules. So just saying, hey, like you said, gifts, I'm saving specifically for this or that, but I would love to have you and your wife over for dinner and we'd like to host. You don't got to bring anything, just bring yourself. That's kind of our, not gift, but it's kind of our offering to you guys because we haven't seen you and
yeah.
it's good to catch up. That's a great idea. I like that.
You can do plenty of fun things. You can have enjoyable experiences. You can have a great holiday without going bankrupt. Maybe maybe you start a new tradition. Maybe it's like a
Yeah.
cookie making tradition with your family or
Yeah.
friends, or maybe it's a sleepover, like an adult sleepover. Get the kids out of the house and like have
Yeah.
other, I don't know, movie nights. There's like so many options. Or people love exploring like the Christmas lights in town, right?
That's
That's a
what I was
thing.
just gonna say. We got a lot of cool, all of a sudden we got a lot of like really cool like rock and roll houses that do like all the stuff around us
Oh,
now. It's
right.
really cool. Yeah, like inviting them to like hot cocoa and let's go look at those lights or something, and just kind of hang out. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, set the expectation. And once the first time you do it is going to be the hardest time.
Oh yeah.
At this point, nobody expects a gift from me ever. So if I give them a chocolate bar, they're just like super impressed. It's great, you
Well, you
know?
must be rolling in the bank this month or something.
All right, what's tip number 4?
Well, tip number 4, and we kind of already talked about enjoying the holidays, but yeah, just summarize, like you said, I think you just said a great thing. You don't have to go bankrupt. It's already stressful enough trying to figure out the holidays like a month in advance and stuff like that. And then saying, oh my God, did we get enough gifts? Like, or this or that, or, what if we don't get a gift? Like, there's so many things that people are already thinking about. I think you just need to take, time to sit down and enjoy the holidays. I'll offer something that we do, me and my wife, we've done it for since we've known each other pretty much. I mean, it's been about 12 years, I feel like. So Christmas Day, after all the dinner and everything, and the kids go to bed, at Christmas Day night, we watch Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase like every year. That is like my go-to movie. I love that movie, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So we just started that tradition, She grabs a glass of wine or whatever. I sit down and we just hang out, and like
I
it's
love
so
that.
it's so peaceful because the kids are asleep, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Christmas Day is over. It was a lot of fun, but now we can just relax and watch a movie with the dogs. And I don't know, it's just enjoy the actual holiday. And yeah, it takes a day and a half, 2 days of Christmas
Yeah.
Eve and chaotic and stuff like that, but we actually get to sit down and just spend a couple hours in peace and quiet. So
I love that. Yeah, similar. I really liked what you said earlier about how it's like similar to a wedding. Like you do all this work and you just like pour your heart and soul into it, planning, planning, planning,
yeah,
organizing, communicating, like buying the things and picking everything up. And then it's like, boom, it's over. Like, yeah, so many people, I feel like their wedding day goes by, their Christmas goes by, and it's up, another one in the books. Yep. Yeah. So step number 4 is like take a moment, breathe, and actually enjoy the holidays. I love it.
absolutely.
All
Five,
right,
the final
5.
one.
Woo-hoo-hoo. This is actually probably my favorite one. Set up a 2024 holiday fund. So you made it through
Yes,
the 2023 holiday season. Believe it or not, Christmas happens annually, does it not?
yeah.
So Christmas happened last year, Christmas happened this year, and it's gonna come around again next year, which is really interesting. It's always December 25th, and it manages to always catch people off guard. So let's have 2023 be the last year it catches us off guard. In
I agree.
January, let's set up a holiday fund. So what would that look like, Brian?
Well, kind of what I said earlier, right? And so you could start it really early, January. I mean, so my suggestion now, this is state by state. I mean, we're talking, you're in Hawaii, I'm in Michigan. So we have a abundance amount of credit unions in our area,
Mm.
and a lot of them still have a Christmas savings account, is what it's called. Some of them
Oh
don't
yeah.
anymore, but like specifically Christmas thing where you can start it whenever you want, January 1st if you want to, and you can save money. You can transfer it from your check, whether you set up however much, $25 every other week or $50 a month or whatever it is. And it's locked in there and doesn't release until like usually October 1st time frame. And
Yeah.
so that way basically you don't have access to that money. Now I guess you could always close the account, but the point is like you don't have like easy access where people will be like, oh yeah, we saved for Christmas, but then we had to replace a tire and then
Yep.
jumping back and forth in that. So that's a cool idea. Or just any type of sub savings account that maybe you have less access to is always good, like an envelope system. You could always put in envelopes as well. But it's time to start saving. It doesn't have to be a lot. We all have to cover our butts from not being prepared in 2023, right? Because now
Yeah.
2024 is where we're gonna be prepared. So maybe, a little bit to start, just anything starts in January, and as you go month by month, just increase it, increase it, increase it. And you'd be surprised how much money you could save, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. I encourage people to think of it just as like any sort of thing that automatically comes out of your paycheck. Like we don't notice the 401k contributions being taken out of our
No.
paycheck, the social security, the taxes, like set
Mhm.
this up just where it's like automatically boom, disappears, you never see it, and then Christmas rolls around, you have a couple $1,000s there for you. So even if it's 25, $50 a month, some people can afford $500 a month. That'll give you $6,000 for next Christmas if you started it in January. So
That's
go set up
amazing.
that 2024 holiday fund. Woohoo!
Final question for you, Andy. You're not expecting this one, but I just thought of a question on this before we head out. Um, so I'm one of your clients, and well, you guys just talked about setting up, 25 or $50 a month starting in January, but I have debt up the Yahoo. I'm paycheck to paycheck. How could I ever do that? What would you say to someone?
Oh, I love that. I would say you should talk to a professional. and let's create a plan that works for you. We'll get you feeling in control of your money and having some clarity around uh, around your money and your paycheck. And we would almost go through like these 5 steps we just talked about. Like if you meet with a professional, my hope is that they would ask you what's important to you and get clear on your values, which was our very first step we talked about today. And when we're clear on our values, it kind of helps us laser focus on what our priorities are going to be with our money. So talk to a professional. Call Brian.
Call Annie. Call Annie. She's good at this too. Good at this.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Well, that was awesome. I'm glad you joined me today. And before we leave, I'm gonna drop all this stuff in the comments and all the, the show notes. Tell everybody like where can we find you, where they can find you, where to follow you, anything that you want to tell them before we leave.
Yeah, my fax number is I'm on Instagram,
Toot, toot,
Annie
toot.
J.
No.
I'm on Instagram, Annie J Coaching. That's my website too, anniejcoaching.com. Come hang out in Hawaii. Start a sinking fund for Hawaii and come hang out.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you again for coming on. I'm glad we could finally do this. It was a little delayed. I apologize to my listeners once again, but I'm glad that we got together to do this, and we'll have to do another episode in the future, maybe some follow-up, see how people are doing it halfway into
Yeah,
2024 or something like that. So,
let's do it. Thanks for having me, Brian.
all right. And we'll see you guys next time on The Money Revelation. Thank you.